unless you have level 3. And you're not going to be able to creep as quickly, so it's one of those things that if you can get level 3 before he gets level 3, you're obviously going to be able to push his expo. And then when pushing the expo, you sort of want to make sure, like, you know his base build, and you know ways in and ways out. You don't want to waste a TP doing that, because TPs do come in handy in Night Elf against Human, because you're going to be fighting a lot of battles where your army is going to get very, very weak. And generally you're not going to have an economic advantage, so what you want to do is you want to fight until your army gets very weak and then teleport out. This way you keep your army strong still, because you can use a bunch of rejuvenations and your moon wells, and you sort of reduce the use of his economic advantage. And that's generally your goal, is you want to force him to build a lot more units than you would, and waste a lot more money in upkeep. So those are the main things you're banking on as the elf player. So the game ends, no big surprises there. As the human player, you want to make sure that your build placement at your expo is superb. You can always look at pro replays to see what they do to actually build their bases. There are some neat tricks here and there that you'll see, like they'll stash a couple towers here and there, but generally you just want to be able to keep their heroes away from your gold mine. And if you see the Panda Pitlord combo, or just a Panda first, you don't want to get a lot of footies because they're going to get eaten up super quickly. And what you want to do is you actually want to keep him busy at his base. So you set up like 2 arcane towers is what I'd do, and then I'd make sure I have them hotkeyed so I can focus the Panda ASAP as soon as he arrives. And then you also want maybe a guard tower or 2 just to keep the damage on his units and keep him away from pushing your expo. And then what you do with that is you force him not to be able to push your expo, which is good. And then you can sort of run around and try and cancel his tier 2 buildings. It's not always possible, but if you pick up something like a Zeppelin, you can always weasel that into the back of his base and take out his Ancients of Lore. So you sort of want to weigh your options. I mean, sometimes, yes, you can cancel the lures and TP out. Sometimes that will work in your favor, but some elves will be like, well, good, I forced him to TP, and now I can actually force him back and forth from his expo and his main, and force him to lose units that way, and try and catch you off guard, maybe get a nice creep jack in, and try and play the map control game that way, and force him to play a little more cautiously until he has tier 2 and can buy a TP. That's a little more technical. A lot of good human players won't ever actually end up in that situation where, they may end up in a situation where they don't have a TP, but they're not going to creep camps where they're going to get creep jacked, and if they do, they're going to pull the creeps in spectacular ways. I mean, it is a fairly simple thing to do, but I see a lot of players, even at the amateur league level, who don't pull creeps effectively, so you can always use that to your advantage as well. What else is the human player? If you see the Panda, you want to get like 1 or 2 sorceress max, and then start pumping up breakers. Reason being is sorceress won't come in hugely handy. You'll be able to pick off, an archer or huntress, big deal. He's probably going to start going dryads, and he's not going to get bears until later. So even if he does, he won't start pumping up bears immediately, which is what the sorceress are good for. And that's why a lot of human players will pump out 2 sorceress and then 2 priests, and then maybe they'll go get a couple more sorceress and then breakers. So you gotta weigh your army combination that way. But generally they only do the sorceress thing if there's a warden or a demon hunter that you can chase down, and there aren't shitloads of dryads and hunters running around. Excuse me. So generally you want to go Mountain King with a bunch of breakers and actually be able to force his Panda not to use a bunch of his Breaths of Fire. So generally what I do, and I've said generally a lot, I probably shouldn't do that, but I keep 2 or 3 breakers in a separate hotkey, and then what you do is you just right-click the panda. It sounds stupid and simple, but that's all you do. And, like, he can't ensnare your breakers or anything, so even if they do get out of position, there's really not much that they can do. Like, oh, they can slow them. I mean, they are your tanks anyways, so, I mean, they're going to get focused. Well, you do want to use your water elementals more as a tank, but if he has enough to rise, they're going to be useless. So you're going to be using your breakers or your knights. But not the main point. You want to keep the breakers focusing on the panda, and then what you want to do with your Mountain King is you actually want to, as soon as you see his panda get into a better position to breath of fire your casters and your mortar teams, you want to bolt the panda and reposition. It's one of those battle awareness things that a lot of people don't do, and they just like micro their units, save this, focus fire that. A lot of human against night elf isn't just micro, it's a lot of position playing. And if you notice at the pro level, like even elf versus orc, you'll notice they'll try most of the time to control the Tauren chieftain away from their talons. And the orc player will also try and control the demon hunter away from the Tauren chieftain. So it's a lot of these position type games that you have to play to actually be able to win these matchups a little more effectively. So it sounds pretty basic, but it's very important and not many people do it. So keep that in mind when you're playing, as you want to keep your position a lot more and be aware of what's going on in the battle as opposed to just the micro and your heroes. Other things with the human. I'm just trying to think. You want to be able to control the shops, obviously, because you don't want to let him get a hold of a bunch of invulnerability potions as a panda. Like, even buying them and selling them, like, you lose 75 gold. Oh no, 1 peasant worth. It sounds stupid, and it is, but I do that a lot. And it wins me games because people can't buy invulnerability potions to save their heroes. Like, if you have a panda, low HP, and he uses, oh no, a healing potion, you're going to be able to force a TP, which is worth a lot more gold than an invulnerability potion, and he's not going to be able to stay in the battle for that much longer. Generally, heroes are the main source of dependency on how long a battle plays out. Anyways, I've talked long enough, and Downware's probably going to be pissed at me because I did one of those audios where most of it isn't on the replay. I've noticed him complaining about that, but in some of the comments, I'm not sure where. I remember seeing it a few times that he was complaining because Mr. Cygnus does like 3 hours away from the replay. But yeah. What was I gonna say? Shout out to Downware because he does a lot of stuff for the site that a lot of people don't know about. Like, he's the one doing pretty much all of the VODs that end up on YouTube. So give him big props for that. Even if you don't like his commentaries, you should at least respect the fact that he's doing all this work. Plus, he's doing a lot of the... he's posted up a bunch of my audios because I don't have enough access to do a bunch of the stuff, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, I'm going to end the audio off here. Next one should be a live one. I'm actually thinking of starting to do serious live ones. Well, more serious, as opposed to just doing random strategies. Like, I'm going to finish off the strategies that I haven't tried yet, so don't fret, I'm still going to try out your strategies and stuff. But I'm actually going to aim for higher level games, and I'll probably be playing on Northern. And I will probably do some random team type stuff, so if you have any random team preferences, like random team types, I won't do 3-on-3. Just laying that down now, I hate 3-on-3. I'll do 4-on-4 or 2v2 though, but I'd prefer to do what people would like done the most. Anyways, peace out.